So let's discuss this a little bit further, because it seems like that we've actually caused some people to think about this for a second. Let's think about this. If we only pay attention to ourselves and nothing going on around us, then basically what it's teaching us is that we should mind our own business. And so the problem with that is, let me read something to you real quick. In Germany, they came first for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. And I'll add to that I didn't speak up because the universe is a reflection of myself, and I've been taught to mind my own business. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time there was no one left to speak up. So when you say that there's nothing outside of you, what you see outside is a reflection of what is inside you. That works at a very grand scale if everybody followed that, but that's not the way that it works. If you refuse to pay attention to what's going on around you, then what you're doing is you're minding your own business, and you're not allowing yourself to see what is going on in the universe. We have to welcome the dark into ourselves in order to bring it to the surface and release it. And so this is a very dangerous thing to follow, to say that you should learn to mind your own business and nothing else in the universe, and that if you do good and that everybody's going to follow you. That's not the way that it works. You have to do good, but that doesn't mean you ignore everything else around you either. Let's take another example. If I'm walking down the street and I see a young lady being raped, am I just going to tell myself that this is a reflection of the universe and that I should just mind my own business, and if I do good then everything will be fine? Or do you go and help that young lady? Because if you just ignore everything else around you, then how are you ever going to learn to, for example, when they say there's no point in having group meetings to discuss what to do with the poo, we've got to learn not to poo anymore. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't learn how to discuss the poo, how are you going to learn to keep your head out of your ass? You have to learn to understand what the problems were. Another problem that we have with that is, let's talk about history, for example. If we don't learn what happened in World War II, the bad things that happened, and we just try to live by what we're supposed to do now, then if we see those things coming again, then how are we going to know how to react? If you don't learn and learn to discuss what the bad things are, how will you form a frame of reference in order to place yourself in the right light and form an example for other people? It's important to understand what the bad things are as well as the good, so you can form a frame of reference as to where you stand. Even Bashar goes into this. So I hope this is a great discussion, but I can tell you right now that the idea of ignoring everything around you is a trap. That's teaching everybody to mind their own business no matter what happens around them, and that is a big trap. You have to pay attention to everything that's going on in the universe. You have to understand those things that are bad, and you have to be willing to discuss them. It's not all about lovey-dovey stuff. You have to welcome the dark to the surface, allow everybody to discuss it so that it doesn't happen again. And so I hope that's something that everybody's learning now, that you just cannot pay just attention to yourself and say, oh, everything bad happening around me is a reflection of the universe. That works at a very grand scale, but not where we are right now. You have to pay attention to everything around you, and you have to use your mind and your heart. Your mind looks at all the information, weighs it logically. Your heart grounds yourself in doing the right thing. So, everybody have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.